Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba, everyone. Welcome to Everything Teams Phone Live. We're coming at you on a Friday afternoon that is sunny in Sammamish. Brandon is probably always sunny in
Uh,
Denver or something like
no,
that.
we're like at 4 inches of rain over the
Oh,
last 48 hours.
fantastic.
It's like Seattle and Denver right now.
You know what? You get that. You get to have that and hold on to that for a little while because I'm enjoying the
Please.
sunshine outside. There you go. Stefan, nice to have you on the show. Mr.
Thank you.
Yealink himself. How are you doing
Oh,
today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you guys for the invite. Just as a piece of note, it is 85 degrees in Las Vegas and sunny. So, Brandon,
There
please
you go.
keep that. Oh, you
Jealous.
can't hear me?
Jealous.
Don't want to hear it, man. Don't want to hear it.
Oh,
he's-
I thought you couldn't hear me.
I'm
Oh,
being-
you gave me a heart attack.
Like, oh no.
No.
I just don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it, man. Again, fortunately, it's sunny in Sammamish, Washington today. And I like to say Sammamish is the Teams world headquarters. If you were going to have an executive meeting about Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Teams Phone, and you decided to have it at the Starbucks here in Sammamish, you'd have probably 100% attendance from the Microsoft side of the house. So, all right, everyone, excited to have you guys all with us. We are we're going to show you some device things today from Yealink. You know, we here at Everything Teams Phone Live, we like to go through the components that a customer is going to need in order to successfully deploy a full Teams phone solution via Operator Connect or direct routing with G12 communications. And so Yealink happens to be a very big part of said solution. In fact, I was going to go grab one of those Yealink awards up on my shelves over there. It's like, seriously, they're actually there. You're laughing like that's not really true, but it's like they're sitting right there, these little plaques.
I'm just jealous that I don't have any of my own, you know.
There you go. So I'm going to, I won't do that. So we're going to talk about Yealink devices today. So Brandon, let's kick things off. I'm going to bring up the deck and we're going to start sharing some slides because Stefan, I know you've got some things to go through, but we're going to just kick things off with sharing the screen on the document here.
Go for it.
And for our listeners and for you, Stefan, we're gonna have to rename the show to Everything Teams Phone Live and Lunch because anymore I don't get to eat lunch. It's 1:00 in the afternoon here in Denver, and I'm like, I told Rick, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to make a path to Teams bib so I can show up to the call and make a mess while I eat.
There you go. There you go.
I don't think anybody wants to watch all three of us eat at the same time.
No, probably not. Probably not.
All right. Well, there's the slide deck right here. You got me, Rick Garcia, G12 Communications. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and co-founder of G12. Mr. Brandon Bradley, what do you do?
CTO and janitor.
There you go. I love it.
I feel like I need an and as well. So I don't know. I'll have to work on whatever that title is.
I think that's very appropriate because I probably make a huge mess in service in delivering services or selling services, and so we need someone to help with that. So well said. Stefan, how you doing? What do you do, buddy?
I am the director of strategic sales. That's just a fancy way of saying that I work with some of our most important customers to advance strategic relationships with them so we can continue on the path that we've been on and continue to grow successfully and strategically within this space.
Awesome. Are you a strategic customer? If you're out there and you're watching and you're looking at Teams Phone as a solution, you're going to talk to Stefan one day because Yealink has some cool devices, man. Really cool devices. I'm talking about on the device side. You got some cool devices out there. We're going to see some of that stuff today. Device solutions for Microsoft. Boy, the device space right now is blowing up. With room devices, with phone devices, with some cool headphone devices. The device space is blowing up, and it's exciting to have you here. So Stefan, what are some cool devices that you see out there that are, I say cool, but what's functional? What's being used today?
Great question. Thank you for the lead in there. So it really depends on the customer, right? So one of the goals that Yealink has as a manufacturer is we really want to try to create that whole immersive environment for the customer, right? So yes, we have video bars and video equipment and audio equipment, but those customers also begin to delineate down, right? What about their phones? Everybody's moving to platform-based phones, platform-based headsets, certified headsets and phones. So that's one of the things that we actually started in. In case you didn't know this, Yealink, their business originally was phones. And in fact, we are the number one leader globally in the phone market, not just UC phones, but also like SIP phones as well. And we're continuing to see that branch out and that growth. So what we do now is we do have a strong focus still on our SIP business. It's obviously there, but the Teams platform phones, the Zoom phones, those types of things, those are really where we're seeing a lot more focus and transition. So we want to make sure that we're pushing that through to the customer. So here we have basically our top of the line, I guess you would say, SKUs for Teams phones, the MP58, 56, 58A, and 59. Those are all elite level. They're built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, all certified through Teams, ready to go with either direct routing or a mix between SIP and Teams on one device, right?
I'll tell you what, that 58 is pretty cool. I had one of those on my desk for a bit, and it was pretty cool. It was my very first Teams phone that I tested out.
Yeah.
And what I thought was super cool is I plugged this thing in, I logged in, and that was pretty much it.
And it works. Yeah.
That's the blew beauty. My mind.
Yeah.
For anyone that's wondering how this works, Brandon, go for it, but sorry.
I was going to ask more of a functionality question that maybe we can help answer for some of our listeners around, legacy device versus these devices that are already Teams, ready for Teams native service. And I'm curious, Stefan, from your perspective, from Yealink's perspective, is there a plan to maybe take some legacy devices? Because you've got your certified devices that are SIP that are now certified for SIP gateway with Teams, and then these that are more just native full-on Teams. Is there any plans at Yealink to enable a legacy device to be maybe flashed to a firmware that's Teams?
That is a great question. So I don't have the exact answer on the roadmap for that firmware flash over, because if you may or may not know, but most of the Yealink devices they're uniform all across the board. So whether it's a SIP phone or a platform-based phone, it's almost just a firmware upgrade. But I couldn't tell you for sure, because what we're seeing a lot of actually is a move away towards physical phone devices and a move into headsets, right? Just from an IT perspective, you're talking logoed companies or enterprise-based companies. The phone is like another device that needs to sit on the network. It needs to have permissions. It needs to have rights. It needs to be accounted for, right? Whereas a headset doesn't need any of those things. It could be a certified headset via Bluetooth or DECT, but it doesn't need to sit on the network or anything like that. So that's kind of the transition we're seeing. So I can't say for certain that would be a roadmap, but I don't think we're against it necessarily, depending on the device, right? Obviously, if it's an EOL device, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, naturally, that was a selfish question to me, just because I'm talking to customers all day long, and I thought it might be good to socialize it, for listeners.
What do you see? It's like, give me some of the popular stuff. I mean, you've got a list here. You've got a whole bunch of devices here. I'm going to throw a scenario out at you. Okay. So you go into 1,000 user organization. Okay. Just 1,000 user organization. What's the breakdown of the portfolio that you see headed out the door? And if you want to include some room stuff and some bar stuff and whatever it is, but what's the portfolio that you'd see out of 1,000 user customer? Because I think that's pretty common when you see, an organization that's got 1,000 users sitting out there. It's it's not huge, it's not small, it's just right in there. What do you see coming out the door for something like that?
Yeah, perfect question. So what in my experience, what I've seen is I like a reorganization, and then that's where we step in, right? Before, customers had this hybrid work situation. People would be in the office and they'd have these big, crazy, complicated boardrooms and all these meeting rooms. And now they want to relook at their footprint. So they're taking those big, larger spaces, they're shrinking them down, they're making them more flexible. So you have collaboration spaces, you have hoteling spaces, you have desk reservation spaces, right? So when you have something like that, you're getting into a mix of maybe like a smaller MTR or not as complicated MTR. You're getting into meeting bars situations, quick deployable meeting bars, or our meeting boards, for example, similar to like the Surface Hub, right? We even have a thing that's extremely popular, one of our products called the A24, which is essentially a meeting board shrunk down to 24 inches. So it could sit in a hoteling space where, let's say, you showed up to a customer, you needed to take a quick meeting, you walk in, you scan the QR code on this device, your Teams account will populate into that device. You take the quick meeting, you leave, you're gone, you're done. That's really what we're seeing a lot of right now, is those type of environments where they're multi-use, multi-function, and available for any type of work that needs to be handled in that environment.
I'm pretty excited to get my hands on one of those. I have not tried that, but I've been sort of drooling over it, and so I was like, oh, I need to pull one of those into my office because that looks pretty awesome. The all-in-one sort of, here you walk in and you've got your whole Teams environment sitting on a screen now, like that Surface Hub. But that'd be pretty awesome to give that a run. I mean, I've tested out some of these devices that you've got here. Obviously, the headsets, a whole slew of the headsets, the devices, the phone devices. I thought I'd share this real quick just because, just what?
Yeah,
there
like
it is. That's one of 3 or 4 that sit on the shelf over there. So we do use Yealink for a lot of different devices. But that MTR space that you were just talking about, though, that the meeting bar space, I know I don't have a picture of it up just yet right now, but that space is just a whole different world on its own. So if you had 1,000 user customer, would you say, 30% of the users on there are using physical devices? Who you think 20%, 50% using physical devices, as in phones? In my own customer base, I think we sit around 30% when they audit the users and go, hey, who actually needs a physical phone and who needs a headset? And I'm seeing about 30. Brandon, do you see anything different than that, Brandon? I mean, you run technology for us. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip.
Yeah. I mean, when you blend out that average,
Yeah, about 30% of those users. And then the headsets are now far and away the better conversation to have these days, because the headsets now that whether it's wired or not wired, I mean, today I've got a wired headset on, right? Because I've got this whole, phone booth Microsoft thing or set up here. But the Bluetooth capabilities that are built into the headsets now. I mean, the I love the pull the extension out and mute and unmute. I think you've got that one. Is it like the 62? Is that what you're?
I have it right here, yeah.
72. I got it right here as well.
See that? Oh,
just not using it.
Look at us flexing our Yealink.
I think we all got it, right?
Hold on a second. Hold on. How about that guy right there?
There you go.
Look at that. See? Boom.
So this is actually the 76.
Oh, it's the newer version.
Oh, all right. This
I
is my
should just
Wall Street.
cost this to get to justify getting the new one. Like, where's my garbage?
Yeah, maybe. Not pass it down. It's a great device. Yeah. So
no, it is.
That's fantastic. You guys are familiar with that, with the headset product line. That's really where I'm seeing a lot of push towards, because you hit the nail on the head, Rick. 30% of 1,000 users, right? Because that's really the amount of people who need to be in the office for a lot of the time. And outside of that, you don't need to be, right? It's mostly like you and I, we work out of home offices or offices wherever, or on the go, or at the Starbucks, or whatever the case is. And carrying a desk phone around isn't very convenient. But if you could just pull out your headset real quick, take a quick call, that's really where it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well, let's crack on here a little bit. Let's talk about this slide right here, man. What are you going to tell us about this slide right here?
Well, it's called Everything's Teams Phone. So I wanted to make sure that we really kind of focus on that as much as we want to dive out into the minutia of all of the Yealink product line. But basically what we want to hammer home is it's the same. You're going to get the same experience, right? Because all of our product line for Teams is certified by Teams. So it's running off of that Teams software, right? That integration. So when you're mixing out different types of Yealink devices, no matter where they are, or no matter who's in your company, they're going to have the same experience. So they're going to be able to go into the conference room phone and have the same experience that they would on their desk phone or their Teams decked headset platform, right? So it doesn't much matter the deployment, and you don't need a ton of training. It's very intuitive, and it's exactly what Teams is, right? So when you're talking about that experience, we are pushing for simplicity and cohesiveness. And that's really what we focus on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna this is important for you customers out there that are talking about Microsoft Teams being your phone system. I think this is an important sort of thing to identify here. It's a phone system. Like it may sound complex. It may it may be confusing if you're going, oh, but I can't use soft phones in my environment. I'm not a tire shop, but I'm an organization that is that's constantly moving around. The physical devices are required. And some people are confused that they think about Microsoft Teams as just a soft phone on your PC. This is, but the devices here that you've got laid out, cover every scenario. So you've got, a conference room set up. If you want just your standard star phone in a conference room, you've got it. If you wanted headsets for your remote employees, you've got them. If you want physical devices to sit in front and answer the phone, just like a normal phone system, you've got it. And you're saying the experience and the consistent UI is across all devices, and that even carries over into your conference room. So how many of you out there, this is a good question for everybody out there, maybe you answer, maybe you don't answer, but how many of you have walked into a conference room and you go, well, there's the overhead projector right there, and where's the remote to turn that guy on? And then I'm going to go ahead and sit back, and where's the cable that I need to connect this thing up to my laptop? And then I got to sit back and wait for an IT guy to pop in the room and show me how to use all this stuff. And how many, seriously, if you're out there and you're listening, comment, because I think that's quite a few. I mean, if legacy MTRs or legacy meeting rooms are really, really not complex, just the technology isn't smooth. It isn't easy. Nowadays, Yealink, and obviously other manufacturers as well, but Yealink, I mean, the intuitiveness of the UI is incredibly important, and you guys make it really simple to walk into a room, touch a button, and get onto a meeting.
And I think it's important to call out too, because I think there's definitely, probably even the larger enterprise spaces that they've, and I can speak to this because I came from a space like that where they've upgraded a handful of their rooms to the latest technology. I say latest, but the budget and the cost for that even 3, 4, 5 years ago was astronomical compared to now. So now it's, there may be people that looked at the price and just turned away, walked away, and left their meeting rooms as legacy, old school setup. And maybe they're sitting here not realizing, oh, I can get into an MTR setup now for just a couple, $2,000-$3,000 versus that $500,000 it used to cost.
I think it's even cheaper than that now, Brandon. I mean, if you get a bar now, I'm not saying Yealink, you guys, I'm not throwing pricing out there for you guys, but I think a bar is something like $1,899 or $2,000 or something like that these days. Is that right?
Yeah, we just actually released a new product. That's a shame I didn't put the slide in here because I wanted to focus on the phone. But we just released our brand new meeting bar called the A10. And that's a meeting bar that's perfect for these types of spaces we're seeing now where they're four people and under. Retail price on that's $999. And that's a software-enabled camera, audio, microphone, all built in. And you can put it on a device. It does Teams natively, or you can do bring your own device or bring your own meeting. And you could do wireless, bring your own device or meeting, right? So you just plug in the
little dongle. You have the little dongle. You have that little dongle hanging handy so you can see what people
I don't have one handy, but it's plugs in USB or USB-C, and it just works. I mean, in fact, I was just at a major integrator last week, and I was trying to help them demo their new meeting board, the Yealink meeting board they had, and they actually had one of those WPP30s, but they were using it for a whole other device. And I said, well, let me see it. And I just took it. I plugged it right into the meeting board. It paired instantly. I plugged it into my laptop, and they were astounded because they didn't know it was that easy to repair it with a new device. So again, to kind of touch on your point of simplicity, right?
Yeah, I mean, walking and at the price point you just mentioned, I mean, $1,000, you get a, because you walk into, let me just, you take a hospital as an example. Okay, I'm going to have 40 different rooms, not maybe 40 is overstating, but I'm going to have, and I'm not talking exam rooms, I'm talking actual meeting rooms to run the business of the hospital. You probably have, call it 20 different conference rooms available, right? And to throw $20,000, and obviously bringing to your point earlier is like $500,000 or $100,000 for a room, to throw that kind of money at a room is just no longer the case anymore. In Yealink, I mean, sitting here, if you go to A10, what's the optimal amount of users in a conference room for an A10? Is it 4, 6? What do you think?
4 for the A10. Yeah, we like to say 4 for the A10. That's like a small huddle space or something like that. And then if you wanted to go A20, that's around 7. And then when you hit above that 7 mark, you can run an A30, but you may as well bring in like a UVC 86, like one of our AI enabled tracking cameras.
I've got here's a little quiz for you. All right, you ready, Stephen? This is a quiz. I'm going to step out of the picture for just a second. It's a quiz for you.
Exiting.
Hold on a second. This is a quiz for you, and I hope Yealink Corporate is listening, because you're going to get this right. I'm sure of it. But here, what is this now? You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, what is that?
All right, it's either going to be a UVC 40 or an A20, but it's a UVC 40 is my.
Boom! It's a UVC 40. You're absolutely right. It is a UVC 40. Let me just, UVC 40. Look at that. Well done. You got the model.
So that's
right?
a Windows based meeting bar, right? Which is fantastic. If you have a customer that really wants to stick to the Windows platform, they want to have that deployed through the whole system, they can do that. But now we're seeing a lot of push towards Android based devices. So I have a bar in that same format that is Android based, that you can run a control panel, something very similar to this control panel here. This is our new
boom. You got a prettier one.
Oh yeah, so you have, that's called the M Touch, and behind me what I have here, this is the M Touch Pro. So this will be 11.6 inches, wall mountable, ADA compliant, all those things.
That's fantastic. Yeah, this is what was cool about this. I mean, it's like, okay, if you walked into a conference room, you can just touch your meeting, sign into your user here. Your meeting is listed. You click on your meeting and get your meeting started. The other cool thing is on the back of this guy, there is a spot for USB-C. You just plug in your dongle to USB-C or even HDMI, and you plug that guy in, and you're presenting off your laptop. And I didn't have a wireless dongle with it. This was just something that I ordered. This was probably a couple of years ago now that I had this thing delivered here. It was rolling around. It rolls around in my house. This is hilarious. It rolls around on my house on a TV cart. So if you want to talk about nerding out to some MTR stuff, I could have taken the meeting on that, but I disassembled it and decided to show the pieces. I think what's interesting. There you go. I thought what's interesting is this. People don't actually know what the physical size is sometimes, right? It's like, what is the physical size actually? Like what does that look like? You see it on ads, you see it on the website and stuff like that. So I thought I'd pull it out and just go, this is the size right here. It's not huge. You can sit it on top of a TV. I have it mounted on a tray just below the TV. And the TV's kind of propped up a little higher. So it's face high, right, when you're sitting down in a conference room. So it's pretty cool device. But the affordability of this stuff is
actually half that size.
It's half the size of this, the A10
size. Yes.
Wow.
And it does almost every function that A20 does.
Wow. There you go. All right. Well, that's cool stuff. So let's talk about Teams phone experience here. The calling, the voice, the voicemail, and the meetings. Is that the touched physical?
Exactly on it, right? Like that's how it works. I mean, it is a phone system when you're going into these. Gone are the days of we need a third party hosted platform, right? What did Microsoft just say? They had over 300 million monthly active users right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. So like, I think that push for platform-based phones is pretty significant. And like you said, it's not just, there's a client on my laptop. It's a physical phone. And we have a lot of manufacturing customers that need physical phones, and they need them in warehouses and stuff like that. And we have phones that meet those demands. They're a little more rugged. They don't have huge touch screens. They're perfect for the guy in the back with the gloves that's going to make a quick call and needs to navigate internally or externally. So yeah, it is a true phone system.
This is a cool slide. I'm glad you included this slide, because this is, I mean, just to kind of walk through the different scenarios that you run into in an organization, right? I mean, there's common areas, there's a front desk, there's open spaces, there's executives, there's, collaboration, and there's on the go. So it's like you've got all the components here of an organization that, and you hit on just nearly every single option here for customers. So this is a really cool slide, and how Yealink addresses every one of these.
And I think I'm curious about one that's not on this slide, and it's more of a industry question, and I think on previous shows we've talked about, I'll call it the hospitality space, like the hotels, where they're still using just old school analog. And where does the market see that going at some point? Is there ever this day where hotels upgrade their telephony package for the rooms, where it's now, say, a Yealink device that's some kind of license to Microsoft Teams or something like that gets them away from this old school analog setup? I
think Teams is talking about a hospitality package, and it may be out, and I'm just not aware of it. But if I was the hotel space, I'm not an executive in the hotel space. I have no clue what they're doing, but this would be interesting to me. You would think that it would be on your TV at some point. You need a TV in every room. Do you really need a phone in every room? Everyone uses a mobile device. I was even thinking it'd be cool just to have a panel up in the room. It's like if you had a panel up in the room that had your voicemails, and you clicked on the panel, you checked your voicemail, you checked out on the panel, you checked in, not checked in on the panel, but if you needed to make a call, you could make a call on the panel. Like, it should just be a wall mounted panel in the hotel space. And yes, it should be attached 100% to Microsoft Teams, because we are Microsoft Teams Phone Live, everything Teams Phone Live. So yes, it should be on Teams. So,
I've been having this conversation, I think, for 2 going on 3 years now. And I agree with everything you guys said there. But the challenge, I think, is it's a regulatory issue more than it is anything else, right? That's the piece that I think that we forget to look at a lot of the times, because it would be great if we could move all these hotels off of PBX systems and move them into a hosted Teams, or whatever the case is going to be. But there are some legal parameters that are set in place for hotel phones. One is they have to be able to call 911, right? They have to be able to call 911. And when that call goes through, not only does it call 911, it also calls hotel security or someone internally within the hotel. So there's some requirements inside that have to be met first. So hopefully soon. I mean, look, I think hotels are on the same page. They definitely want to move forward.
And we know from a Teams Phone perspective, I'm not saying that, hotels are aware of this or not. And if, again, there's obviously a huge expense to rip out a bunch of, thousands of phones in a hotel. But, we know Teams Phone now you can do location based, and it can bridge in a security desk or whoever needs to be bridged. And it can actually do multi-party bridge in. So I think from a Teams perspective, I think we're close to there. I'm just curious what
what's the device
sees. Yeah. What device do you put there?
And that's exactly what I mean. It's like, okay, if it's not on the TV, of a software pack that sits on the TV, then it should be just a simple panel like this. I think maybe there's a cost component here that hotels kind of face, because I don't know the hotel business, and maybe it's not a great margin business. Maybe it is. I have no clue. But if you're replacing a phone with a $100 panel, and I don't know what this panel costs, but I'm just throwing it out there. It seems to me like that's a really even trade, right? Where you can now control a lot of information on this panel versus obviously if you go into a hotel today, let's it seems like that's just a dumb phone. Like a piece of a boat anchor of a plastic piece of.
I think the other dilemma we talked about though is the theft portion, right? Like do hotels really want to spend a bunch
I
of
never
money?
thought about that. Yeah.
Cordless phones are the problem with that. I think they see people packing those things away sometimes, right? You're right. We do run into some hotels that have that, but that's why, again, my argument is, like, if you're a hotel, okay, if you're a hotel out there and you're thinking about replacing your phone system. Now, this probably can't do it just yet, but like literally you should consider a panel like in your room. I think that'd be, from a consumer perspective, ideal. It's like, if I'm going to make a phone call on the panel, great. I'll make a phone call on the panel. I doubt I'll do that, but to call 911, to do whatever, like, it seems to me like a panel is the way to go. And then you can control the experience of a consumer from a panel. If you're a hotel listening and you do a panel, you should say something in the comments, because that'd be pretty cool. I'll go stay at your hotel. All right.
I am all for it. I'm more than happy to convert every
I will use your phone system
to a touch panel going forward. Yeah, we've had this conversation with hospitals as well, right? Hospitals is another one where it's like, okay, you have to deploy a phone system for the actual hospital. It can be that. And now Teams is obviously integrated with Epic and Cerner, right? Yep. And it doesn't touch patient information. But if you're going to tie that into, like, let's say a nurse page or a nurse call system, there are, again, regulations that have to be met, right? It can't be hosted because it's HIPAA. It has to be on site. And it has to be connected through, like, the whole hospital system. So I think we'll get there. We're going to get, we have to get there, right? There's no if, and, or buts about it. I think the question is just when.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Stefan, what is your favorite Yealink device, and what do you use on a regular basis? Like, I see what you've got on now, but like, what is your go-to device? So just your favorite device, and it's like, what's your most functional device?
Oh, that is on the spot. Well, I would say my favorite, and probably being biased, but it is this headset. I use this headset every day. I use it multiple times a day. And what you can't see behind it here is, I can actually probably show you guys, is this, this is the stand that it sits on, right? But this piece is the wireless charger. And I sit my phone on there all day. It's just, I use that every day, and it works every time I need it to work. The battery life is great. The audio is fantastic too. So this is the BH76 not only has noise canceling for me, right? When I put it on, I can't hear anything around, but in the background, right? Like if I'm snapping or I'm making a lot of noise or dogs are barking, you guys can't hear that because the audio will cancel that noise around me. So, and I do have dogs, and they do bark at each other, and it has the potential to run a lot of calls. So that's one. And then I'm always been partial to the T54, which is a SIP phone, just because before I came to Yealink, I was in the telecom space, and I've sold lots and lots of those phones, and they always worked every time. I never had a problem. Customers love them. They never break. They're just workhorses, and they work great for what they're intended to do.
I think that's probably what we have a couple of awards for, because we end up as a UC provider, not legacy UC, for whatever, UC provider in before our Teams days. The T53 and T54 were just devices that just went out on the regular and in significant quantities, and they're just they're workhorses. We have this whole Nordstrom sort of approach to customer service, where if you have a broken phone or something like that, we just kind of replace it for you, and like literally we replace like 2 or 3 a year. They're just they're workhorse of a phone. All right, this is the portion where we're going to talk a little bit about more Microsoft Teams, and I keep forgetting to update this slide right here, because this is now 300 million daily users. If you're not a Microsoft Teams daily user today, you will be soon, because it is just the if you're in the workforce, I should say, if you're in the workforce, like the reality is, I think you're going to end up using Microsoft Teams one day if you don't today. You may be on a different collaboration or cloud phone system, but in the near future, you're going to see that Microsoft Teams, with the simplicity of how they connect all your utilities to you, all your business utilities, it just makes a lot of sense to use Microsoft Teams as a phone system. And there's some killer services attached to it. I'm not even going to go into the Power Automate and those functions that allow you to automate workflow. But what's really, really hot right now is this whole Copilot thing. Brandon, you're a tech guy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Copilot does and how it's going to be used in the future? Because I can tell you, I read an article this morning on Copilot, and I thought the legal industry, oh man, and I'll talk about that in a second. But go ahead, Brandon, give us your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's such a, not only is it a broad subject because of how many topics you can cover talking about Copilot, meaning from solutioning to then the depth that you can go with it. And it's going to change the way we collaborate, right? The way we take meeting notes, the way we build presentations, the way that we share data amongst internal folks in your organization and externally, and the way that you can collect that data and put it into a format that is quickly digestible so you can understand it. It's going to reduce the workload effort. It's the intention here, and even Microsoft will tell you this, the intention isn't to replace jobs with Copilot. The intention is to bring high efficiency work to your employee and to your organization as a whole. And there's a lot of different, I don't know if you have a specific example you want to talk about.
I do. I got a specific example.
Let's talk about your example so we can kind of all kind of bounce around.
Here is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if my lawyer fees, I'm just kidding, I don't have any lawyer fees, but if in the legal space, okay, are law firm hours going to not reduce, but our law firm hours going to be now more efficient? And now let me turn this around and let me kind of give you the example. I'll set the stage here. Could you imagine that if you're a court lawyer, or not a court, but someone that goes to court and fights a case or something like that, and you're doing case law, or you need to go find some case law in a particular state or around a particular sort of prior outcome. Could you imagine turning on Copilot into your previous work or into that state's sort of case law and just typing up, what's the outcome of something like this, right? To find some legal sort of information, and instantly now it's handed to you in here's the exact information that you need for this prior case law. Here's the cases that supported it, a list of the cases that supported this action right here. It seems to me like there's a lot of time from a legal perspective spent on research and finding case law in every new case. I mean, obviously there's probably some standout cases that lawyers go, hey, this is, Garcia versus Smith in Washington State, whatever it may be. Right. And it's like, but now it seems like if you have access to, the state archives or the court archives, like you could just go and instantly find case law to support your position in a legal case. What do you think?
I think it's more than just finding it, right? It's leveraging, and again, there's things about, retaining that data within your own organization versus, I think AI is so new to the space that I think there's a lot of people making the mistake of going out and sharing proprietary data, not understanding that they're pushing it out there. So I'm just saying that for the record. But I think there's a day coming where your case notes, your active case, it's not that you have to take this data and collect it and then try to go compare it and use that AI engine to compare it. I think it becomes more real time as you're entering case notes, as you're entering your description, as you're collecting the evidence and the data. You're going to be able to use that engine to automatically supplement and feed that data as you're working. So I see a day where you're that lawyer and maybe you've got your assistant that's collecting, that supplementing that data with case laws or cases that have been done or tried in the past. Now it's just happening for you as you're working.
Boom. Yeah. Instantly.
Yeah. And to Brandon's point on the leaking, sorry, Rick, the leaking of the data, you hit the nail on the head. I think Samsung, they just had an issue where their employees leaked a bunch of data through ChatGPT on accident because they were trying to use it as like a personal assistant. and that data just became automatically searchable, right? So yeah, there is going to be an issue where because it's legal documents, right, that it has to stay within a certain threshold. But and also to that point, I think it's more complicated than that. Like, for example, we have a product coming out called the Smart 60, which is a Teams based 360 camera, but it also has AI functionality built in, including Cortana. And what you'll be able to do using Copilot in the future is during the meeting, it live transcribes the audio. So in your meeting, if you said something along the lines of, hey, let's revisit this next week around this time, you can integrate Copilot into that to automatically set that meeting up in the future. And then to say, hey, like, these are the things we're going to talk about, take your notes and put that all in real time, like basically a personal assistant that's live in the meeting, taking those notes and making those annotations.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, the difference. Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be game changer for organizations that, I think we can all say it. We work for organizations that aren't perfect around documenting and summarizing and taking meeting notes. And there's people in the organization, and I'll admit I'm not a good one, right? But we have people in the organization that are. But I think what this does is it brings a new standard to how you collaborate across meetings and with each other, where it's not just in meetings, right? You can do it. I can pick up and call you, Stefan, and I can still have that same level of organization around our discussion. And, and I think about how many vendors I talk to, and we get down to pricing, or we get down to some detail that eventually I need to go search my email for, or I need to search a chat history for, or, forbid I have to actually go find a call recording for it.
Yeah.
But how many hours does that take me? And then most of the time what happens is I turn around and I call you back and say, hey, I hope you have this saved in a better spot than me, because I can't find it. That it's going to change that whole course.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're guilty of this, but I certainly am. Is when we're in customer calls or anything like that, and somebody asks a question that I don't have the answer to, I say, you know what, I don't have the answer, but I will get back to you. And I'm not the perfect person here, and I've definitely forgot to recircle. But imagine in real time if you said, I don't have that answer right now, I will get back to you. And then Bing Copilot pops up with a note with that information in real time, right?
Or sets a reminder.
Or sets a reminder to go get it. Yeah, like how amazing is that going to be, especially for people like me who tend to leave out some of those details if I don't write it down.
Well, we could probably hit on the AI thing all day long, because it is game changing. But I want to take a moment to address Microsoft Teams Phone from an economic perspective. There is a Forrester research paper out, commissioned by Microsoft. So, you've got to be somewhat, take it with, however much weight you want to put behind it. But the total economic impact of deploying Microsoft Teams Phone into an organization. And then there's two versions of this. There's the enterprise version, and there is the SMB version. The SMB version, I think, sat at around 800 users or under. So I'm going to stick with this one right here for now for our discussion purposes. But, for organizations out there considering whether Microsoft Teams Phone is going to be their phone system, if you've not thought about it as your phone system, maybe you are thinking about it as your phone system. But there's a significant portion of the population that still sits on legacy phone systems. I don't know, 60 or 70% of the population out there, the working population from a business perspective, sit on legacy phone systems. And Microsoft Teams is that ubiquitous platform that can be deployed across any organization, any department, any facility, any local region, internationally, et cetera. And so I want to talk about, from an economic perspective, is it expensive? Is it expensive to deploy? I think in this example, we're looking at it and we're weighing a few different quantifiable percentages of savings. And it comes up that it's in a small business, the savings is something like 82%. That's astonishing. I mean, that is just huge from a cost savings perspective. Like, any comments on that?
I don't know the exact, and don't hold my feet to the fire on this, but I think the conversion for like an E5 Teams license or to add the Teams phone, I think it's like $5. I could be wrong, but I think it's pretty close to around that price point. From a normal seat, like a hosted seat, which was around $10 a seat, maybe sometimes higher, maybe a little bit lower. So just off that fact alone, you're getting that much savings. And then you can ditch whatever phone device you have. You can just go straight to a $30, $40 headset. Easy peasy.
Off you go. Here are the different components that were the gains that they had, the financial gains. And here's where it breaks down. Cost savings from retiring a legacy phone system. Now, why does a legacy phone system cost you so much? Brandon, anything?
Yeah, I mean, and that, so going back to the earlier comment about the cost savings, I think when you just look at the numbers, I think it's easy to go, there's not that much cost savings. There's a little bit, but it's to this point where you're retiring legacy stuff. Like if you're a medium-sized business, there's a good chance that you've got an Avaya or a Mitel or maybe a Cisco running out on-prem somewhere. And there's a lot of cost associated to keeping that thing powered on, maintaining the circuits that are connecting your PSTN solution, whether it's old school PRIs, T1s, whatever, all the way up to the support contracts that you're paying the vendor to maintain the software code and the hardware support and all that and then on top of that, the SG&A that the business pays someone either internally to keep that thing running or outsourcing that to a firm that knows how to run it. There's a lot of little,
there's a
it's
lot
almost
of
like
cost.
Death by nickel and dime.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of cost in that thing, right? I mean, and then that doesn't even, the support, there's the cost from retiring the phone system. So, the services attached to it, there's the support component attached to it. And then the improved and integrated communication that you receive as an organization. Now, I'm going to tell you from a hands-on, and I'm not even talking from a company perspective, like, okay, this is what we do, phone systems and on Microsoft Teams and things like that. But really as a business, okay, I'm going to talk about the business of running G12 communications. Before Microsoft Teams, we had our own cloud services, and we ran things on conference calls. So if you can imagine, every meeting that we were having was a conference call. And you remember, I had a Star phone on my desk. I mean, that's like, just because it's like good speaker and all that good stuff, I had a conference phone on my desk. And running the business that way, there was always guesswork attached to, is this person working? Am I getting all the productivity from employees, as an example? And Microsoft Teams has completely shifted that now with, with Teams being so immersive, right? And now Teams becoming the Windows, of your business, essentially, right? It's like, Windows is the operating system for your PC, right? And now it seems like Microsoft Teams is now the operating system for your business. If you run a business, communication internally and externally is paramount. I mean, it's you wouldn't be in business. Maybe you would if you were a development shop, as an example. But even then, how the heck are you getting your business, right? So ultimately, communication with the outside world and internally are the life, and this is my personal opinion, but are the lifeblood of any business, right? And being able to seamlessly communicate with everyone just hitting a button. I'm talking to Brandon. Brandon today took control of my PC to install some new camera stuff. Like, there's like the integrated sort of communication that we have today is far and away so amazing that it shocks me. Like, I'm like actually dumbfounded that people still have legacy phone systems out there that just do one thing. Hey, how's it going?
Right. Yeah.
You like literally.
That sounds like the sound you said you weren't gonna make.
No problem.
On a previous meeting.
But seriously though, right? I mean, like, doesn't it shock you? I mean, Stefan, when you run into businesses today and they've got a Cisco or an Avaya sitting there, and all it does is take calls and make calls. Mm-hmm. Like, doesn't that like blow your mind?
Yeah, and they have 42 expansion carts hooked up next to it for the reception. Like, what we can do this way simpler. You can just touch a picture. But yeah, I get it. I see it all the time, and I think part of the mentality that people run into is if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But
yeah,
they just don't have the experience of the benefits and the simplicity that you're talking about, right? The quantified benefits. And once they get that experience, then that's when the eyes open and the floodgates come down and the comes, and then everybody wants to move forward with technology. But until we can have that conversation, we don't get to have that conversation first.
If you're a kid of the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, I don't know when it was, but if you remember this, I'm going to challenge both of you guys. You guys are probably both too young to remember something like this, but there was this infomercial back in the day, this gal named Susan Powder, and we're not sponsored by Susan Powder at all, but she had this blonde short hair and she said, "Stop the insanity." Do you can anyone relate? Can anyone remember that commercial? It was like, I think it was diet stuff or maybe something like that, but her slogan was "Stop the insanity." And so my message for organizations that have a phone system, a legacy phone system still sitting on your desk, stop the insanity, because the productivity that you'll find in a Microsoft Teams solution for your organization will be game changing for your organization, not to mention the new tools that we're talking about related to AI and stuff. I'm talking just migrating your phone system to Microsoft Teams would be a game changer for your organization. And so I'm like, stop the insanity, people. You got to get those things changed over. And I'm saying it in a really polite way, but totally stop the insanity.
All I was going to say is I don't remember that infomercial, but I was probably young enough that I wasn't up that late at night doing the compulsive spending, because that sounds like one of those commercials that would have been on during that compulsive hour where you're using your phone to dial in to say, yes, I'll take one of those.
Yeah.
I heard about it. I just heard about it is all it was. I just heard that there was a commercial like that, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Billy Mays Hayes or the Slap Chop. That's more my generation.
There you go.
But also, right. The thing that I feel like we kind of glazed over was like the simplicity of the collaboration, right? Yeah. If you have a legacy phone system, I can call Bob, right? But I can't show him what I'm working on. I have to explain it to him. But if I call Bob with a Teams phone, I just call him normally. And then I go, you know what? Let me just show you. It's one click. I go one click and now I can show him my screen, or I can show him a virtual whiteboard, or I can show him whatever I'm working on, or her, whoever the case is. And that eliminates that frustration and that need to you have to go here and find this person and do all these things. It's simple and it's easy. And that's what we push for.
I think there's one more. It goes back. I think, Stefan, you're the one that said it towards the top of our call around you got these 300 million active users, and obviously there's some companies, they lock things down tighter than others. But for the most part, not only am I calling Bob internally to have that conversation, but I'm also calling a partner, a vendor, even a customer. Exactly. And I'm not even dialing their phone number. I'm just going out to my search function. I'm looking for external Bob. He pops up. Yeah. I hit call, and same experience.
Correct. Or even in Teams, right? Like as soon as we hop off this call, I could go, Brandon Bradley, add you right into my Teams, send you a quick IM, send you an Excel document, a Word document, whatever I want. It's just, and it's real time. And that's like exactly this next slide right here. What is it? This is in those cost savings, everyone, in the cost savings that we just identified for Microsoft Teams Phone. This was not even quantified as a calculatable. Is that even a word? Calculatable. Anyway, I don't think it's a word, but anyway, you know what I mean, people. You know what I mean. Happier employees, happier customers, better security, and business continuity. Better pizza.
Kidding.
Papa John's.
No, exactly. No kidding. This is better. It's better all around. And we just talked about happier employees. Stefan, how nice is it that you get to go, all right, I'm going to put Brandon on my ping list. I call it my ping list, my list in Teams. And I'm going to go, I've got access to Brandon real time now. And Brandon can choose whether he's like, I don't know about Stefan. I don't know about Stefan calling me anytime he wants. I'm going to hit no to that. But you've got the choice, right? And you can create this environment of productivity for yourself as an individual based on what you do for a living, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yealink, for example, we're 2,500 employees internationally, right? Over 2,500 employees. Like, it's so amazing to me to be able to just reach out and touch one of them anytime, anywhere in the world to say, hey, I need your input on this. Let me know your thoughts. And then boom, right away, here it is, or whatever the case is. Like that ability is exactly what you said, Rick. It is the game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is a public service announcement now. If you're on a legacy phone system and you're a business operating on a legacy phone system still today, please call us. We can help.
Battery sold separately.
Yeah, we just went into infomercial, didn't we? 1-800. Buy now, 3 payments.
That was hilarious.
I love adding battery sold separately to things. It's just whatever.
It just fits. It just fits. Seriously, like if you're on an old phone system and want to be, we're happy for you. If you're on an old phone system and don't want to be, we can help. All right, let's talk about a couple more things. We're hitting the top of the hour, so we're going to be done with this thing in 3 more minutes, but I want to talk about some things that are really important to businesses. This is a slide that I stole from the Cavell Group at our Cloud Comms Summit in London in March, and their research showed that this is what every company wants out of their communication priorities over the next few years, and it broke down the customers by size, by employee size. Apparent in every one of these things is better customer service. And that's why you ultimately go with an organization like G12 Communications. It's like, you just get this, hand holding throughout whatever your experience may be, but you get hand holding and you get supported the way that a customer should be supported, not a way the customer should be supported in the telecom business, but the way a customer, period, full stop, should be treated. So that's what you get here. But some interesting things are improved business continuity, and then better analytics and automation of customer journey. So now flip the switch a little bit here. And now as a business, think about what your customer experience is, right? So if you're a retail shop, if you're a tire organization, if you're selling insurance, whatever it may be, but think about what your customer experience may be, right? And how Microsoft Teams addresses your customer experience. And we don't have time to go into a lot of that today. But Brandon, why don't you talk about some of the automation capabilities built into Microsoft Teams that allow you to automate a customer journey?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole Power Automate ecosystem where you can begin bolting on solutions that, I say the sky or your imagination is probably not even the limit to what you could do with the creativity that sits behind this automation platform. But what we're seeing are things like bringing full-on contact center solutions right into the Teams client experience, bringing SMS, full-on mobile operator certified SMS into the Teams experience, and taking it even further to business analytics, right? You're bringing your CRM in where you can start cross-correlating data, and you can then tie that to maybe Power Automate where you can get real-time analytics around literally anything you want. Again, you'd have to get into examples to start breaking that down, but it is endless, the possibility.
A massive, massive topic. And it's basically, everyone, if you had Microsoft Teams capabilities right now, the video, chat, calling, all those solutions, if you can imagine facing those out towards the public world and bringing your customers in. One of the things that we like to do is put a little signature now on emails so that somebody can talk to us. If you send an email and they can respond email, they can call you obviously, but they can also just hit, let's chat with you. And you bring that customer experience right into your real-time communication so that you can help your customers in a better, more efficient way. That's all the time we have for today, folks. We've hit the top of the hour, but I thought I'd leave you with a little teaser like that because it is all about the customer journey and employee satisfaction. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on another episode of Everything Teams Phone Live, where we want to bring you all the different components that you need to bring together to deploy a successful Microsoft Teams phone deployment. So, Brandon, thank you so much for your time. Stefan, Mr. Yealink himself, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you talking about all the devices that Yealink does. You got a one-liner for customers today?
I got nothing. Just thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
There we go. But up. See ya, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.